What's up YouTube, Dell here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a competitive budget profile for Mermail Atlanteans. Now, thanks to Rarity Collection 4 Stampede, we actually got the last few missing pieces reprinted for the Mermail Atlantean strategy. This is obviously going to be post-ban list as well, where there's a bit of a blessing, you don't have to deal with Abyss Dweller, but there's a bit of a curse in you don't have access to Bahamut Shark. So this build is going to obviously completely be tournament legal. The idea is you're going to be building this on a tidy budget. I will talk you through the cards that you will increase or add in if your budget is not an issue. You're mainly going to be looking at stuff like Molchomi Fluoros, Molchomi Perulia, and of course Dominus Impulse as those main particular cards that you're going to be adding into the deck to increase its ceiling and consistency. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe. If you get the video above 50 likes in the first 24 hours, I'll be more than happy to bring either a test hand combo video or just a generic combo video to show you what this deck can do, as it is very, very combo heavy, and you need to learn the lines inside and out in order to succeed with the deck. So, starting off with probably the best normal summon of the entire deck, and one of the best normal summons in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! In my opinion for a water style deck, mainly the Mermail Atlantean strategy, is of course Triple Neptibus. Now this one came out in Rarity Collection 3 Bonanza, and I was able to pick up the ultimate rare versions for like £1 each, which is exactly the same for all of the other Rarity Collection reprints. So this is very, very cheap and easy to pick up. You can get it every rarity from Super all the way up to Quarter Century Secret Rare. The best thing about your Mermails and Atlanteans is that they all send water cards as cost, and all of your water monsters have that effect that if they are sent, or the majority of the Mermail Atlanteans, is if they are sent to activate a water monster's effect, which is exactly what is going to be happening, you then get additional effects off the back of them as well. So, Triple of the Neptibus Atlantean Prince. So this one is you get to send an Atlantean monster from the deck to the graveyard except itself, and then you get to add an Atlantean card from the deck to the hand. Now keep in mind, because you're sending as cost, no matter what you send, even if your opponent was to negate this with something like an Ash Blossom, that would only stop its search. It still sends as cost, that still goes through. If you want to consider using an Imperm or a Veiler, you want to make sure you do it before they activate the effect, but because they send as cost, that's when it becomes a little bit of an issue. Then on top of that as well, is if this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, target an Atlantean monster in your graveyard, accept itself, and special summon it. You can only use each effect once per turn. Then, of course, we've got the insane resource management card in the form of the Triple Atlantean Dragoons. So all level 3 or lower C7 monsters you control can attack directly. But then if this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, you get to add a C7 monster from the deck to the hand, except itself. That is not a once per turn. If you can loop Dragoons 20 times in a duel, you can activate it 20 times in a duel, as long as you have the ability to add a C7 from the deck to the hand. So if you keep recycling your C7s, you just keep searching. And then, of course, we've got two Poseidra, the Atlantean, the Storming Atlantean. So this is one of the more recent ones. These are currently sitting at £5 on eBay and obviously £4.50 on Tier 0 games as well. Should be able to pick these up relatively cheaply. You can play a third if you want to. This is such a good card for the deck as a out to most people's fields. It really is powerful. So while you control a monster except itself, your opponent cannot target this card for attacks. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You get to send one other water monster from your hand or field to the graveyard to special on this card from the hand. And if this card is normal or special, you get to send an Atlantean or Mermail monster from the deck to the grave to target a card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So it's such a great card that basically just outs a detonator. Not that you need to worry about it as much, but in a Raziel matchup, that's probably going to be the most threatening thing they have on their field. So this kind of baits out Cross to try and stop it, or ultimately it ends up getting it to a position where you return the detonator, and that's exactly where you want the detonator to be and not where your opponent wants it to be. For the final Atlantean that isn't treated as a Mermail and Atlantean, which I'll talk about in a second, is of course Heavy Infantry. So Infantry is your disruptor that during your main phase you get to normal summon one level 4 or lower C7 monster in addition to normal summon a set. Very rare that's going to come up, but just keep in mind that it does. The one that's going to be more relevant than anything is if it is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, target a face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it. So it becomes a disruptor during your opponent's turn, as you do have cards that will be able to trigger, like your Neptibus if you discard it. You've got your Abyss Shrine and everything else in between. We've then got Triple Mermail Abystius. This, of course, is also another one of your starters. And the reason it's technically another one of your starter is you get to discard one other water monster to the graveyard as cost, especially on this card from the hand. When summoned this way, you get to add a level 4 or lower Mermail monster from the deck to the hand. And the best thing about that is as long as you are adding a Mermail monster, that can then be a starter or any of your other cards that are treated as Mermail or Atlanteans, which you're about to see. So the other starter you can play is triple Mermail Abyss Pike. This was the last card that was needed to be reprinted, or technically the penultimate card, if you include the extra deck, that needed to be reprinted in Rarity Collection 4 Stampede. This now went from like a £9 to £10 rare to a £1 ultimate rare. Like, that's how quick this rarity sets change these values. So when this card is normal or special, you get to discard a water monster to the graveyard as cost, add a level 3 or lower, a level 3 water monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. So the add is absolutely fine. The idea is that this is a level 4 fish that could be spawned from the deck through your sealer camp. It's obviously another way of getting a starter because you get to discard a water as cost, and it's just going to be able to help you present your board a little bit more and then work your way into some rank 4 plays. Then the cards that are treated as Mermails and Atlanteans. We do get to play triple Mermail Shadow Squad. All of these new cards, Shadow Squad and of course your Spirit Abyss Shrine, which I'll talk about in a second, are just great additions to the deck. These are the ones that weren't reprinted in Rarity Collection, but they are more recently. So this is Rise of the Duelist, Rage of the Duelist. So these are Rage of the Abyss, as are your Atlantean Abyss Shrines. Your Abyss Shrines, I picked them up for £3 at YCS Birmingham way back when. They're probably a little bit more expensive now, around about £5 a copy. And the Shadow Squads, again, I was able to pick them up at £1 a piece. You should be able to pick these up at £1 to £2, maybe a playset for £5. But these prices will start to go up, so you do need to act fast, as I do feel that this deck has a very, very strong chance to compete in the meta. So this one is always treated as an Atlantean card. You get to discard a card to the graveyard. Water monsters you control can become level 7 until the end of this turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, you get to special summon a level 4 or lower Atlantean or Mermail monster from the deck except itself. You can't special from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except waters, which is absolutely fine. You can only use each effect once per turn. And then your Abyss Shrine is absolutely insane. So again, this is always treated as a Mermail card. You get to tribute this card from the hand and one Atlantean or Mermail monster from your hand or field to take one level 7 fish, sea serpent or aqua monster from your deck and either add it to the hand or special summon it. Also, you can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except waters. And then during your opponent's turn, you get a quick effect to banish this card from the graveyard and discard one card to the graveyard as cost. Draw one card, and the benefit of stuff like that is you can discard a Neptibus. That then allows you to bring back a Poseidon, which will allow you to bounce a card. You can also then discard a Heavy Infantry. That will then allow you to destroy a card. You've got so many different options, it's crazy. And then moving on to the Water Brick. So technically cards you can search off the back of the Abyss Shrine as well is the Mooning Glacier. Now with these cards, and I'm just going to quickly show you your Barrier Statue and your Mooning Glacier, I don't feel that you need to play both. They are technically both bricks. They're not cards you ideally want to open. They are water, so they can be discarded. But the idea is that the Mooning Glacier is going to remove 2 cards from your opponent's hand. The Barrier Statue is going to lock your opponent from being able to special summon unless they are special summoning waters. I honestly don't feel you need both of them because I feel once you resolve one of them, you're probably going to be winning the duel, because more times than not with the Mooning Glacier, you would have gone through your minstrel, you would have looked to your opponent's hand, you would have seen what they were working with, and then you would dictate and say, okay, well, I'll go to the Barrier Statue, they won't be able to play through that, or I'll go to the Mooning Glacier, I'll take away 2 more cards from their hand, and then they're going to be in more of a position to struggle to break the end field that I am working for. Minstrel is in here to confirm that you can complete combo by seeing nibs, by seeing draw and lock birds, and then be able to work from that point on, which this card is still incredibly insane. The Barrier Statue is there just the kind of final nail in the coffin, because you're being able to special summon out your water monster, lock your opponent under waters, you don't care, you're only playing waters, and then they're like, okay, cool, how do I break this? Obviously within the combo you do go through both of these, or you can go through both of them. If you're worried about playing multiple bricks, as this deck is a 42 card list, then you can cut one of these or side one of them out, because these are obviously going to be more ideal for going first. You don't really need them to go second, but you can utilize the fact that this is a level 7 and this is a level 4 sometimes to enter the extra deck should you need to. The other one of bricks that you don't ever really want to see in your hand are the Gluttonous Rep Dolphin, and then of course the one Sealer Camp. So the Sealer Camp, the idea behind this one is you discard a card to special summon level 4 or lower fish monsters as possible from the deck, which in an ideal scenario you're going to go for 3 of your Abyss Pike and your 1 Dolphin, because this is your tuner to make you some synchro plays. Unfortunately, you probably will already go through a Abyss Pike, so you're probably going to be going for 2 Abyss Pikes and the Dolphin, but even then you're still able to complete your complete a synchro summon, complete an XYZ summon should you need to as well. Then the last of the bricks we play is the one Virtue Stream and the one Abyss Sting Triana. Now you want to be searching these cards, you don't want to hard open them, they're not waters so they don't actually help you facilitate your discard combos or anything else like that. These are cards you want to bury into the deck, you don't want to see them, you want to search them when you want them, and that's pretty much it. Moving on to the hand trap, so this is the biggest point that will change if you have an unlimited budget. So you go with pretty much triple Ash Blossom, triple Droll. The Droll is probably the hand trap of the format right now. I feel a lot of decks are searching. It's definitely the biggest weakness of a Mermail strategy because being able to Droll them is quite like the equivalent of lancing your opponent in Malice, is that unless they have the right cards to extend a little bit further, they are going to have to hold back a lot of resource, and then you're going to be trying to push through to an OTK or trying to make sure that you make as much advantage of that lock that you could possibly get. The Ash Blossom, of course, is just always a good hand trap that floats around. But honestly, if you're going to be working into these alongside your Infinite Impermanence, you're probably going to be looking at 3 Dominus Purges will be quite helpful for you. 3 Perulias for the pure fact that they're waters. So if you go second, it's still a great hand trap to use. And if you go first, it's water discard. And then we've got 2 Nibiru, which can very easily be Fluoroses, which again, you can adapt these lineups as you see fit. The most prominent hand traps you're going to be looking for as you adapt these would be 3 Perulia, 3 Fluoros, 3 Dominus Impulse, and then the last 2 cards is entirely up to you, whether you want to main deck Droll and Lockbird or Ash Blossom. And then it will also dictate the final 3 cards I'm about to show you. As the final 3 cards I'm about to show you are very simply Call by the Grave, Crossout Designator, and Pot of Prosperity. So Pot of Prosperity is in here to be that consistency draw. You have lost a bit of consistency, or we have lost a bit of consistency in general, so being able to play Pot of Prosperity can be quite helpful for you. The biggest risk is if you go full combo turn 1, you only leave your extra deck with like 2 to 3 cards. So you do need to be very, very careful with exactly what you banish and how many you banish. But the idea is you would go Pot of Prosperity to hope to see a Crossout Designator, Call by the Grave, or a starter, and hope you don't get drolled. It's still a very risky card to be starting with. The idea is that you can take this out for a sales ban if you want to, and that's another way that you can directly counter the Droll and Lockbird. The reason that I am so focused on countering the Droll and Lockbird is that I feel that so many people are going to be main decking it. Yes, the deck can still play under a Droll and Lockbird, and they still have the ability to hold their own under a Droll and Lockbird, but you're obviously going to be in a much better position if you do have the ability to play Pulses, Perulias, and of course, Mole Chummies. That being said, the Call by the Grave deals with a Droll directly. Crossout Designator, because you're playing Droll, will let you deal with it directly. And of course, a sales ban, you could just call Droll and Lockbird. Whether they've got it or not, it doesn't matter. It stops them having it or stop them being able to activate it. You can then use your Minstrel freely, activate the Minstrel after you've searched it out later on in the combo, look at the hand, take away the Nibiru, which will be an issue continuing the combo, and then you're able to pretty much finish off from that point on, going for a Mooning Glacier, taking 2 more cards from the hand, allowing them to only play technically with 4 cards, and then you're going to have answers to pretty much all 4 of those cards, unless they're playing something like a Dark Ruler No More, which is going to be very, very specific for this particular format, as I don't feel that many people are going to be using that. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the extra deck. So all of those hand traps I've just shown you are relatively easy to get hold of, and so is most of the extra deck as well, as the majority of it has been reprinted. So we're going to be starting off with the XYZ, so going off with the Poseidra Abyss. Again, I was able to pick this up £1 at YCS Birmingham. It's probably gone up to like £2 right about now, so it should be relatively easy still to pick up. You can play 1 or 2 of this. 1 I personally feel is absolutely fine. The one Abyss Guy, so this was the other card that needed a reprint in Rarity Stampede, which is exactly what it got. So you should be able to pick this up relatively cheap and easy as well. Then of course you've got the Abyss Right, so this is a super rare from Supreme Darkness, again quite easy to get hold of. Then for the other rank 3s and 4s, so you get to play 1 rank 4, you can play 2 if you want to play the Frost Giant. Honestly, I feel that rather than trying to dig for a Frost Giant that's only had 1 print, you have a couple of different options. So option number 1, what you're trying to do when you're replacing the Bahamut Shark is you need a water monster that detaches as cost. So the 2 options that you have can be your Magic Key Spirit, and the reason you'd go for this one is you can put a normal monster in your main deck, and then you can search that normal monster out being a water monster that can be free discard fodder. If you don't want to be playing that additional brick, the card that I've decided to go for is the Pen Transaction. So this one, again, you detach your material from this card as cost. If you have more cards in your extra deck than your opponent, apply the effects in sequence. Now, obviously, it can have that effect come up going second, but more times than not, you're just using this as a rank 4 that you can detach material off of. That ideally is detaching Dragoons, and because you put it to the graveyard by activating a water effect, you then get the search. That's what you're trying to do here. If you feel you need 2 rank 4s, then by all means, that's when you can either play a second one of this, but you're probably going to be looking more time than not, because this is only a hard once per turn, to play something like the Magic Key, or you play the Frost Giant because it's an older card, so you can play 2 of it without worry. We've then got the 1 Virtue Dragon. You actually hard make this now. This does allow you to regain some resource by adding a water monster back, and it also gets you direct access to the trap card, so that's when you're going to be able to add another layer of disruption during your field. Then for the synchros, again, you have a bit of flexibility on the synchros depending on what you want to go for. So we've got the one white aura porpoise. So the idea behind this one is if it is synchro summoned, you get to special summon a level 4 or lower fish from the hand or grave in defense. And then you can special summon one monster with the same name from the graveyard. So you're basically going to be able to loop back your Abyss Pikes, which is really kind of cool. You can use each effect once per turn. And if this card is destroyed by battle or opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, specifically destroyed by your opponent's card, so by battle or card effect, and sent to grave, you get to banish another water monster from the grave and special summon it. Rare that that's going to happen, you're just going to utilize it as a level 6 monster that you're going to be able to bring back to Abyss Pikes. Your Deep Sea Prima Donna, the idea behind this one is to get you access to your barrier statue. So your opponent cannot target a synchro monster you control that use this card as material, as it is a tuner as well. So that's when you're going to go into your level 10s, which can be quite helpful for you. You get to target one of your opponent's banished cards, which you will do off of the back of Minstrel, add it to the hand or special summon a level 4, add it to your hand, or special summon a level 4 or lower water monster from the deck. And if you do, add that target back to the hand. So the idea is that you want to special summon out your barrier statue, give them a nib back if that's what you've ripped, and then they won't be able to activate it because they're now going to be waterlocked, so they can only summon waters. If this card is sent to the grave, you get to target a banished card and shuffle it into the deck. So obviously, you do give back your opponent the card you rip with the Minstrel, but then you're getting a barrier statue in replacement, so it's kind of a fair trade. Then, of course, we do play the one white aura Monsiero. So when this card is synchro summoned, you get to target a fish monster in your graveyard and special summon it. It can't attack this turn. You can only use this effect once per turn. And if this card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card and sent to the grave, you get to banish a water monster from the grave and special summon this back. The idea is this is your level 7 that lets you bring back another water monster. You then use it as overlay material for your Abyss Gaius, which can be very, very helpful. We've then got the one Crocosaur. Again, this is where the other rank 4 can come into play. You can go with Trishula as well. That can help you complete more of a hand rip, because not only will you rip one with Minstrel that they will ultimately get back, but you then rip 2 with the Moon and Glacier, and then you can rip 1 more with your Trishula. It really is up to you. What I like about this is if you play the other trap card, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but basically it's if you control like a fish, a sea serpent, or you draw cards equal to the number of different water types you control, which I believe you ultimately end up with a fish, a sea serpent, and I believe it's an aqua. So you end up drawing 3 cards. You replenish your hand, you have more discard fodder for the Crocosaur, and you can make this with 1 tuner and 2 non-tuners, so you get to draw 2 cards off of this, but this is a flexible option. The other 2 that I play is the one Chengying and the one Ice Jade. Again, these are optional. You don't need to play both. You can play one or the other. I just like the protection from Banish that the Ice Jade will give you, especially in a Kashtira richer format, for the pure fact that more people will be on the Kashtira Fiendsmith route, as that is a much stronger deck right now. And then, of course, you do have the Chengying, which you have the ability when you're using your Abyss Shrine in your hand to not only discard a water monster, but also banish a water monster. And that will then trigger the Chengying to banish and banish, which can be very, very helpful. For the Link monsters, we do play the one Abyss Glacier, we've then got the one Abyss Keeper and the one Coral Anemone. Now the idea behind these is the Abyss Keeper lets you special summon. It can't be used as link material the turn that is link summoned, but if it is link summoned, you get to special summon a fish monster from the hand to a zone this card points to. The benefit of something like that is if you hard open up your Sealer Camp, which is an unideal brick, you can still get it out the hand, still use its effect and go from there. The Abyss Glacier is something you want to be ending your turn with, as it does provide you with another form of disruption. And your Coral is obviously a combo extender, because you make this, bring another water back from the grave, and then work your way into your Mermail King Neptibus. So this is one of your end pieces as well. It does require 2 or more monsters, including a fish, sea serpent, and or aqua. So your opponent cannot target water monsters this card points to with card effects, which is really important. You can use each of the following effects once per turn. If a water monster is sent to the graveyard to activate the effect of a water monster except during a damage step, you get to target an Abyss equipped spell from your deck, take an Abyss equipped spell from the deck or graveyard and add it to the hand. So that's how you're going to be able to get your Trident. Or you get to equip it directly to this card. If this card in its own possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, you get to add an Atlantean or a Mermail from the deck to the hand. Now the benefit of this one is your opponent cannot target water monsters this card points to. So if you do put the barrier statue to a zone it points to, which I highly advise you doing, it means even if they top deck an imperm, they can't go imperm and target it, which is really, really powerful, and it's kind of just what makes this deck so annoying to face. It's one of the decks that I hate playing against, and it's just one of the ones that I've built it to kind of learn it and kind of understand it in a much better position. Now that it's kind of one of them ones that I feel is still going to be very, very prominent in the format. I don't feel that they lost enough to make them not play it, because I also feel that they gained enough to make it playable. What I mean by that is it's been made a lot more budget because of the access to Abyss Pike. And then on top of that, the fact that they lost They don't need to worry about Abyss Dweller, which is one of the biggest issues against this deck, and they don't need to worry about Dimension Shifter. It means that their own prime focus to worry about will be something like a Draw and Lockbird as their biggest threat, and then yes, Nibiru is more of a threat. They don't have access to Totally Awesome, but that's where Minstrel kind of comes in to take away that worry, so that once you get to your 4th summon, you look at your opponent's hand at least, and you search out your Minstrel as early as possible, get rid of that Nibiru, and then all you need to do is navigate around stuff like Imperms and Drolls. Obviously, you'd hit the Droll first, but Imperms, Ashes, Veilers, everything like that, and that gives you a bit more to focus on and a bit more to work around. The best thing about this deck is the chain block abilities, the sending as cost, so even if they negate the first thing that you use to send, you're then getting a load of other stuff on the new chain anyway, which is just going to give you so much more resource, it's insane. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.